Well, remember this question of the debate on open borders? Hillary Clinton dodged it completely. Watch this.
As we've learned from the WikiLeaks that you said this, and I want to quote, "My dream is a hemispheric common market with open trade and open borders."
What's really important about WikiLeaks is that the Russian government has engaged in espionage against Americans.
That was a great pivot off the fact that she wants open borders, okay? How did we get onto Putin?
It was a clever diversion, but what about the policy proposal, the one that she made out loud? Well, since dodging that question, people are wondering, where does Hillary's immigration plan stand, and how would it benefit American workers, if at all? Here to discuss is attorney and immigration advocate Francisco Hernandez. Francisco, great to see you this morning. Thanks for joining us. So when Hillary Clinton speaks about immigration, she talks about the benefit to immigrants, which is real and obvious. She says very little about the effect on Americans. So here are the facts. In the last 14 years, 118,000 fewer native-born Americans are working. 118,000 fewer. Over that same period, 5.7 million immigrants have jobs in America who didn't before. So it's a massive increase in jobs for people who arrived here from other countries and a net loss for Americans. Open borders would accelerate that, would it not?
Well, the concept of open borders, it's undefined, and Mrs. Clinton, neither Mrs. Clinton or Mr. Trump can do anything about it. It has to be through Congress. But I don't know about those statistics. We truly know that these immigrants take jobs that Americans won't take. So if Mr. Trump wants to build a wall, we're going to have to legalize 100,000 Mexicans just to build it. And that's a pretty good start. So maybe Mr. Trump is the reform advocate for immigration, not Mrs. Clinton.
Well, they won't, of course, take them at these wages, apparently. But the truth is, because you remember supply and demand from high school, if you have an overabundance of something, its value falls. That's why sand is cheap. And so if you have an overabundance of labor at the bottom of the labor pool, it drives down wages for people who already live here. There's no disputing that. That's happened. And so wages are stagnant or falling in the middle of the country because, in part, of immigration. There's no way to deny that.
If the jobs are there, the people are going to come. Obviously, they're filling the jobs. All you got to do is offer them to U.S. citizens, but nobody's going to get up on a roof or build a highway, pour concrete in 105-degree heat in Texas. Okay, guys, there is a market for that labor.
Oh, so Americans are lazy. But wait, may I ask you a question, though? Would you do your job for $4 an hour? No, you wouldn't. The point is, you have a high-paying job, so do I, is that people don't want to do jobs for low pay, and the pay drops when people from countries with much lower standards of living come here and work for less. That's supply and demand. Are you denying that? I mean, come on.
Yes, I'm denying it. You have wage and wage standards that are prevailing throughout the country. There's plenty of enforcement. There's enforcement going on right now. The question is, what are we going to do about the immigration issue? We're going to keep putting our head in the sand like we have for 16 years now. What are we going to do about it? When is Congress going to act? Forget who's president. It's who is in the Congress, and whether Congress is going to do anything.
Well, so you're making a case on behalf of the immigrants themselves, and that's that's the position of the left. But I mean, if we have over
a case on behalf of America,
and we don't know how many illegal immigrants are in this country, but it's over 10 million. If we don't even know how many are living here within a million, and we don't, we have open borders already, do we not? I mean, what if we can't?
No.
Over 10 million people in your country unaccounted for, and you don't have open borders? I think that's the definition of it, isn't it?
Oh, we don't have open borders. In fact, the only ones crossing the border are drug cartels and smugglers that are all criminals. No, we need comprehensive reform. We want to know who these people are in our country, but we want to keep them in the shadows. Well, I'm not saying we got to give them amnesty, but temporary worker permits, you and I could agree on that, but we do want them to come out of the shadows and tell us who they are.
Actually, you are
so
saying
we can focus on the people.
But let me ask you a question.
I'm sorry.
You're making a very good point about the drug dealers and the massive heroin epidemic, which is coming almost exclusively from Mexico, that drug. Why?
Actually, it's coming from Central America and South America.
But through Mexico. But why wouldn't building a wall help slow that flow? What's the argument against building a wall? I'm a little confused.
We got to stop using the drugs. The drugs are coming because we're using it.
So our kids who die of heroin OD are the ones whose fault it is? Is that what you're going to say? That to a mom whose son died of a heroin OD, it's his fault?
Well, we're using it and we're buying it.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So anything...
If we didn't buy it, it wouldn't come.
Okay.
If we wouldn't hire them, they wouldn't come.
But we didn't take it before they started importing heroin. There was no heroin epidemic in northern New England, for example, before Mexico started bringing it into this country. Remember?
Mexico didn't start bringing it. It's the drug smugglers. It's not Mexico. It's not immigrants. It's not undocumented aliens. It is drug smugglers that are bringing it, and we're buying it.
Who, by the way, are all of the above. But anyway, I wish we could continue this. I feel like we're reaching a point of agreement here. Francisco, it's great to see you this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carlson. Have a good weekend.
You too.